Right, looks like it's 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock on a Wednesday, where we're going to be, but our regular scheduled PD. Wonderful. So today we're going to talk about Google Sites. We're also going to talk a little bit about Google Keep, what those are, how that might help you. And we're also going to talk a little bit about hardware. Many of you have been seeing these cameras around. We haven't made it to everywhere yet, and we will. Basically, we have one of these setups for each classroom. And so as we get around, we'll show you how these work, how they'll connect to your laptops you already have. Right now I'm using the webcam that's built right in, but if I want to be able to use another webcam that's associated with it, we'll talk about that. So we're going to start with software. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw it in the chat. Also, as I introduce the student presenter today, if you have questions during his presentation, we will go ahead and throw that in the chat, and I'll pipe up and we will ask those questions. So today we're going to have Ryan Bell with us, which is awesome. I appreciate Ryan being here on short notice. And he's going to talk about Google Sites, how you create them, how you might use them in the classroom, how you edit them, and so forth. So Ryan, switch over to you. Go ahead, and with that, take it away.
All right, thanks, Mr. Kelly. So today I'm going to show you guys how to make a Google site, which I assume most of you are going to be using for a classroom. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. Just kidding, hold on. Just need to allow this real quick. Hopefully this lets me present here. And no, it's not gonna, Mr. Kelly, it's not gonna let me present here for some
That's okay. Do you want me to present and you can just walk us through it?
Yeah, if you go through it. So the first thing you're gonna want to do here once Mr. Kelly gets his screen pulled up is you're gonna want to go to sites.google.com, and I'll put that in the chat. And once you get there, it'll come up with basically this is kind of like your Google Drive, but just with your sites. So what you're going to want to do is you can either create a blank site, or there's a couple of templates. For this presentation, I would say use the classroom template. That's pretty easy it has a lot of stuff that you're going to already want on there, so you just kind of have to fill in the blanks for a lot of stuff, which is going to be more useful for you guys. So you're going to go ahead and open up a class. And one sec, it's loaded up here. And so you can see there's you have your class name, there's a template picture in there. Obviously you're going to want to go ahead and title your classroom, whatever the class is. And you can see how there's like that template picture behind it. You probably aren't going to want that there. So what you're going to do is once you hover over that, there'll be three options. You're going to want to go to header type, or you can upload your own image, but you're going to want to go to header type. And then if you go to title only, it'll get rid of the picture entirely. And then it'll just say your class name, which is what I assume most of you are going to want to do. But you can also go to cover, go back to cover or large banner, and you can upload your own image as well if you want to do that. If you hit change image and then upload like that, you can select your own image of your classroom, or there's some default images there as well. That's kind of up to you and your preference there. But if you just click on the picture and then select it, kind of comes up as the background, which is nice. Another thing you might want to do is if we scroll down a little bit, there's this template here. There's text boxes. There's a lot of images, and most of those images I assume you guys won't want to use. So to delete an image on there, all you do is click on it and hit the remove, or you can hit the delete key on your keyboard. Either one works. And then another thing you might want to do is maybe you want to put a Google Doc in there for your kids to view. So you kind of find an empty space if Mr. Kelly wants to clear out an area to put the doc.
You want to do a new page first, and we can add it to that? That would be cleared out.
Yeah, we can do that. So to make a new page, you can either use the ones that are already on there as a template, or you can hit the plus button down at the bottom, and that'll create a brand new page on your site. And then you can title that whatever you want it to. So we'll call it newsletter for now, and create that. So once you have your new page, you're going to go back to the Insert tab on the top left and then hit Drive if you already have your doc, and it'll come up with your Google Drive, and you can find whatever document you want and just click on that.
I'll just click this one.
And then you can either hit Insert or double click on it. And then once it comes up, it does come out a little bit wonky. Sometimes that one looks like it's okay, but you can adjust it just by clicking on it and dragging. And then adjust the size. You have the little dots that you can click and pull wherever they are. There you go. It is a little funny with the interface on that when you try and pull the doc or the slides in this case. It kind of goes slowly, but just it's a little touchy, but if you're careful with it, you can eventually get it to where you want it.
One thing I'll share, Ryan, just pipe in for a second, is one of the reasons why it doesn't let you kind of put things anywhere you want it to do. It gives you a little bit of structure. And one of the reasons why is whoever's looking at your site, say it's a parent looking at your site, you don't know what type of device they're on. They might be on a laptop, they might be on a phone, they might be on a tablet, who knows, right? So one of the benefits of this is it does kind of push things around a little bit. And so if I click up here in this little icon, the upper right of preview, I can actually see what this is going to look like on different type of devices. So here it is as a laptop. Here down the bottom here, if I click on that, here's what it looks like as a tablet. See how it automatically resizes. And finally here as a phone, and it'll resize again. And the reason why it does that is it won't let things not be visible. Things will kind of push itself out of the way.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Mr. Kelly, because you want to see what it is before you hit the publish button, before you push it out to your entire class, obviously. Another thing you can do is, say you make a mistake, Mr. Kelly accidentally deletes the doc that he has there or the entire page, whatever. So now you see up in the top, you have a little toolbar to the right a bit. There's an undo and a redo button. All you got to do is hit the undo button, and whatever you just did obviously comes back. That's probably going to be pretty useful if you accidentally delete something. And then you see your tabs up at the top. You have 4 right now: home, class, newsletter, schedule, and another newsletter. Let's say you want to edit those or change those. We already kind of went over how to make a new one, but how to change the name of it. If you go up to pages, and then all you have to do is double click on them or to change the name, and then type whatever you want. Or say you want to delete them because you probably aren't going to need 4 tabs. You hit the 3 dots and then go down to delete, and that will remove your page. Anything else you can think of here, Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about themes.
Themes, yes. So obviously you probably can customize it a little bit. You can change the color. These are just templates. They give you the option to change the colors here, different font types, whatever you really want to do, which gives you a little bit of freedom to make your class whatever you want it to be. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy.
I'm just going to have you share about the publishing.
Yep. Okay. So once you finish, this is very important. It'll automatically save what you have, but it doesn't automatically put it onto your website. So once you're finished doing whatever you want to do, you hit the purple publish button up at the top, and then you can change the web address to whatever you want. So it'll automatically be sites.google.com or sites.rsu19.net. And then there's another backslash, and this is what the last part of your site will be. And you can change that to whatever you want, your name, your class, and Mr. Kelly's going to do that. And then once you finish that, you see this manage button. You can share it directly with your class, or you can send out the link to all of your students. But you want to
this part, I know some people have asked me questions about it. It can be a little bit confusing. So you can have a website that is public. That means anybody can see it. They don't need to have an account. Just like a Google Doc kind of. You can publish it publicly here, or you can keep it just for RSU 19. That means they have to have a school account to even see it. If I publish it publicly, as Ryan said, that doesn't mean now when you make a change, you still have to publish it for it to be seen again. So if I click done here, and again, here's my address. I'll click publish. Now, if somebody goes to this site, they're going to see it. But if I make a change, they're not going to see that change until I click publish again. So it's kind of, it gives you an edit view, like you can make changes and whatever. And when I'm ready to show it, ready to publish it, when I click on that publish button, it will actually show you the two versions. Like this is what I'm going to publish right now, and this is what it looked like a few minutes ago. And if I'm like, yep, the new version looks good, now I click publish, and now it's out again.
The only thing I would say about that is it will automatically save. So like say Mr. Kelly puts that in but doesn't publish it, it'll save that, but it won't be on the site until you do hit publish. So if you have something typed out maybe for a class ahead of time, but you don't want to post it before the class, you can have that in there saved. And then once it's time for class, you go up, you hit publish, and it's there for the class, which is very useful as well.
The other thing I think it's worth mentioning too is, because this can be a little bit confusing. So as Ryan mentioned, this is a document, this is a slideshow that's embedded onto the Google site. The site can be public, but this document still has to be published publicly for people to see it. So there's two different layers. If I want to see this right here, people can see this outside layer, can see the website itself. If they want to be able to see the document, let's say it's a Google Doc or a slideshow or a spreadsheet or whatever, that has to be published as well.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes gets confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because that obviously could pose a problem if your students can't get to that. And you're not going to be able to see that when you put that on there, because obviously it's your own document. But your students, when they go onto the website, they won't be able to access it unless you have that shared with them as well.
Excellent point. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a great point, because if I'm looking at it right now, if I click publish and look at it, say, oh, it looks perfectly fine, because I created everything inside of it. Like you said, Ryan, that account created it. So that's a really great point. Awesome. Anything else you want to share about, I don't know, this stuff over here or?
Yeah, so I mean, Google Sites has a pretty good user interface, but it can be a little overwhelming at times, I would say, with all of the options down here. But I would say to conclude here, I mean, obviously, these are just mostly on the Insert tab. This is all just things you can insert, and you're not really going to need that for a classroom. So I would say just don't get overwhelmed with it. Stick to what you really need there.
Awesome. The last thing I'll share, because I know this comes up as well, is you can treat a Google site basically like a doc or a slideshow, whatever, up here if you want to have multiple people add to it, let's say like a co-teacher. So just like a doc, you can share with other people to be able to edit it. So I'll share Ryan, for example. So him and I now are both editors on this site. I send him that. And it would basically be treated just like a Google Doc, where we're both editors, but if one of us publishes it, it's going to share that, publicly with whoever. Awesome. Let me double check. I'll jump back to the chat and see if there's any questions. Looks like everybody's okay. Fantastic. So if you guys have any questions beyond today, feel free to email or send us a note, and I will make sure that Ryan knows about it. All right. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was Google Sites. I know I've had a couple people email recently about it and what, how to use it and so forth. So it's a brief interview just to be able to kind of see the, where to start and how that works. I did want to talk a little about Google Keep. This is kind of one of those tools that, it doesn't necessarily present itself. We don't think about it all the time, but it does, fill a need. Sometimes teachers will have a specific need they do this for, and this does it really well. To get to Google Keep, just like everything, you can click on the little waffle up here in the upper right. Oops, let me do a screen share. Sorry about that. Okay. So just like everything else, if I'm, anywhere pretty much signed in to Google, I can click on the little waffle in the upper right up here, and I can scroll down and find Keep right here. And when I say Keep, K-E-E-P. The other way is just as easy, and this is how I usually do it, is if you just type in Keep, K-E-E-P, I'll click on that, and it will go here. What Google Keep is, it's basically a to-do list, kind of like sticky notes. kind of situation here. So the one last place I'm going to show you too, because you've seen it before, maybe you come across it, wonder what it was, in your Google Drive, or if you're in a Google Doc or whatever, over on the right side, you'll see the side panel over here. You might have seen these icons and kind of wondered what they are. This top one here is a calendar, which we've used before, of course. Here's Google Keep right here, and this one's tasks. So that's another shortcut to go to it. What Google Keep is, as I mentioned, is it's basically like sticky notes. If I click on the top here where it says take a note, okay, so I can call this is Tech TD. And I can start typing in here. I can just add all kinds of notes, all kinds of stuff if I want to. This is kind of like a scratch pad. I can change that. So right under here, these little 3 dots under more. Let's say I don't want it to be just an open-ended text box. I can show check boxes. So if I want to make a true to-do list, I'll get rid of some of these kind of messed up ones here. All right, so I want an actual to-do list. So get milk. Okay, that's number 1. Walk the dog, etc., etc. So if I want to make a checklist that I can check off as I do these things, completed items, I can do it that way. As I mentioned, I can also keep it as just a full-on, yeah, get rid of the check boxes, just a full-on text box, which I can type in anything I want in here. These can be shared just like you would with a Google Doc or anything else. So you could have different people you could share a to-do list with, right? Or just a little box if you want to at any point. Same process as you would a Google Doc or anything else like that. You can also add yourself reminders. So I can say, okay, tomorrow, don't forget to get milk or whatever. Another cool place here, so this is if you want to do further than just like tomorrow or next week, whatever, I can pick a specific date and time. You can also pick a place. Now you wonder, well, how would it know where I am? If you install the Google Keep app on your phone, right, and it has, of course, GPS, if you have that turned on, it can send you reminders based on where you are. So if I'm walking to the grocery store and I've got my phone in my pocket, I can have a reminder pop-up, oh, when you're at this location, when you're at the grocery store, don't forget to get milk. So that's kind of a cool, or when you're home, do this. When you're at school, do this. So certain reminders will appear to you when you're at certain geographical locations, which is pretty cool. This was the share a collaborator type thing, again, just like we've seen before, like a Google Doc. This is just for colors. If you want different colors for your background, I like to use it because I have different things I got going on. This will allow me, to change it based on what color I want it to be. It doesn't affect anything about inside of it, and if you share with somebody else, they can choose their own color scheme for the background. If you do want to add an image here, I don't know if I have a good one here, really handy. Actually, let's try this one here. This is the IT room. Let's see if that comes up. So there's a picture. If I want to put a picture at the top of my, again, it's just for graphics. If you want to have it to look at, totally optional. You only do 1 image per keep per sticky. If I want to archive it, so what archive means, let me pull that back up again. Archive means that it's not deleted, it's just saved over here on the left side where it says archive, so you can go back to it later on. We've clicked on the 3 dots. I can totally delete it if I need to completely. I can add a label, so if I want to organize a bunch of different notes together, add a drawing, like a Google Draw. This is kind of freehand here, so I can add something like this. Got it. And now if I go back, you'll see the little drawing will be in here as well. And again, I can go back and edit that again if I need to. If I want to pull something up, we'll add some dots to it. So we'll go back again. So that's built in, a little drawing tool. Make a copy, show text boxes. Grab image text. Okay, so this is interesting. Again, the premise here is you're not just on a laptop, if you're on your phone as well. Well, let's say I take a photo of something like a can of soup, and it's got some text on it. I can grab the image text, will take it does its best to what's called OCR, which is optical character recognition, which will take that image of text and convert it into actual text that you can copy and paste it and move around with. So it's also built in. The final thing here is copy to Google Docs. So let's say you've got a note that you're leaving yourself that it just gets longer and longer and gets to the point where it probably should be its own Google Doc because it's got more information in it than just a little sticky note can handle. So I can click on that and then we'll open all this information that I created as a note into a Google Doc, which I can open in a second. Let's see what it looks like. So it's just a regular Google Doc. It's got the same stuff in it. It just copied and pasted that stuff into it. There's the image, there's the drawing, and so forth. It just does it in a quicker way. So if it gets too unwieldy for a single note. The final thing here that I think is kind of cool, up in the upper right is this little thumbtack. So if I click on that, that will pin it to the top. So my top row, all my other stuff here is in just kind of, loose order here, all kinds of different stuff going on. But I click on it, I can unpin it if I want to, and it'll go back down below. So if you want to leave yourself little notes or share a note kind of situation with somebody else, that's just an easy way of doing it. I use Google Keep all the time, as you can see. A lot of different notes in there for different purposes. And so that's just a cool tool. It's already built in. Just sign on your Google account, go to keep.google.com, and you'll have it. You're good to go. See real quick if there's any questions about that. I don't think there are. I'll throw that in the chat so you guys have that if you want it. All right. The final thing that I wanted to share, as far as, again, the hardware, we did a couple software tools, was this guy right here. So we've made it to most of the high school and some of the middle school, and we're going to keep going on in the elementary schools and so forth. So we don't have one of these per teacher, it's per room. So any classroom. So not every single person's necessarily going to have one of these, but we have enough for each classroom in the district, in the buildings. This is a tripod. Okay, and it's just, you can throw that on the ground. These basically just extends it, right? One of the benefits of that is that if you want to, we're kind of used to looking at our laptops and kind of looking down, this angle, so this can kind of look straight on. Also, if you don't want to just point it at you, if you need to turn it on the board, or if you need to turn it without picking up your entire laptop, this plugs right in with USB. So Chromebook, laptop, PC, whatever you got, this will plug into it. You'll use this as a source. So if I was to plug this in right now, I'll plug this into this machine here. We'll give it a... Okay, I am going to do a screen share. There we go. So we just switched over. But I'm going to do a screen share to show you what you would need to do. All right, this is going to be very meta. We're looking at the screen as we're looking at ourselves here, but I think it'll be okay. What's that called? It's a webcam. It's just a webcam with a tripod. If I click on the three dots down here, okay, in my Google Meet, I can go to settings, and right here under video, I'll have two different cameras. Don't worry about, I have three of them on here. Don't worry about that because it's other software. The integrated webcam is the camera that we're used to using. Okay, so that's the one that I'm looking at right here, looking at the laptop. That's the one you've been using. If I switch it right here to the live streamer cam, it's called, that's going to be this one that I just showed you guys. So this guy right here that I'm moving around. And as you can see, one of the benefits of it, I'm downstairs in Mr. Kelly's room, but I can literally move it around a little bit easier than having to pick up my laptop and do it that way. So let me switch back so you can see it. Excellent. Right, that's a monopod, not a tripod. Okay, so we've had some discussions about this. We have different feelings of this. Some of my students, Bree Townsend specifically, doesn't think it's a monopod or tripod or whatever. It is technically a tripod because it has three legs, right, rather than mono. However, unlike a kind of traditional tripod that's pretty big and has three legs that start up from here, this guy, we'll make it a little bit taller. So you'll see only kind of one head comes up here. You wouldn't be able to put something super heavy on it. For example, some of you guys have seen those Owl devices or like a big camera. It would be too top heavy, but a little webcam right here wouldn't be any problem. And so I've been calling it a monopod. We can, tomato, tomato, we can figure that out later. Some of the things about this device specifically. So if I want to unhook, so this is just the end with a little screw top on it. Here's the webcam itself, just by itself. If you wanted to, if you didn't want to use that for whatever reason, you just want to set this on your, up on your laptop and have it, point you that way, you can certainly do this. This will just come out and will kind of set there right on the top of your screen. It does have a little privacy thing. It's just a physical slider. So if that's the camera itself. It also has a microphone on it. Okay, so if you want the audio from this, I would test it. We've generally found when I've asked students, they thought the audio from this is a little bit better. I don't know that the audio speaker and the microphone is actually better than what's on your laptop, but it might be better because it's more directional. Rather than just looking at you, if you're pointing it towards students or pointing towards yourself for questions, that might be the reason why it comes across a little better. But this right here, you can also technically, I know some teacher we were talking to the other day, if you did want to turn it around to face down and kind of use it almost like a makeshift document camera, you could do that. It's not quite as good a quality as a full-on document camera, but you can get away with that if you want to show something, that you're doing with your hands. As I said, I plugged it in right now, so if I want to switch to that camera right there, I'm just going to click on the three dots, go to settings, change video from webcam to the live streamer, and then you'll see here, it will switch. And now you can see if I want to show something down here like that, that would be easy to do. The other thing that I do want to share on there is, whoa, that's close. All right, let's do presenting again and settings. Audio, so if I do want to switch the audio here, right here where it says audio up at the top, right now it's choosing the live streamer cam, but this is my own laptop, the microphone, so I could switch it in here if I wanted to, if I wanted the audio from this device. Also for video, by default, it should come up to be high def, which is 720p. If it doesn't, if it goes to 360, I don't know if you'll notice a difference, but it's not nearly as good. So my recommendation is come on here, click on that, and make sure it says 720. That's just better quality than doing it otherwise. All right. So with that, I'm going to move away a little bit. I don't see any other questions in the chat for this week. As everybody knows, it's been announced that we are going remote the next couple days. These webcams will become super useful. Just be able to hopefully make it a little bit easier for you to work with them in your classroom and move things around if you need to. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody. If we haven't got to you yet, don't worry, we're on our way. We just haven't made it to you yet, but we will have these for everybody in the district, all teachers. Thank you, guys, and we will see you next Wednesday.